This is Roger Struckoff with Syscon TV, day 2 of CloudEXPO West and Things Expo West in Santa Clara, in the heart of Silicon Valley, in the year 2015, if you can believe that. And we're joined right now by Mike Houston of Vitria. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to talk about the topic of the day, which is IoT analytics. I think you like that topic. Mike, thanks for joining us. Tell our audience what Vitria is all about and why we want to talk about IoT analytics.
Sure, absolutely. Well, thanks for having us on. Vitria is a company that's been around with a great heritage in terms of building enterprise-class platforms. One of the reasons we're here today is that IoT is really sort of hitting its stride. The adoption rates are increasing, and the question really is for people to get value from it. And we know with an interesting approach to IoT analytics, we feel that we'll be in a very good position to help people deliver on the value. IoT's been creeping up, and now is the time to really generate business value, and that's what we think IoT analytics can do.
You know, IoT has been creeping up until like 6 months ago when it's like got Superman powers on, jumping like this. And there's also kind of this really integration between cloud and IoT, I think. Is that what you're saying?
That's definitely a key part of the trend. Where cloud and IoT intersect is a very interesting, sort of Venn diagram. I mean, I think one of the things that's interesting to us, there's an irony with IoT. On the one hand, there's a tremendous amount of volume and variety and velocity of data. On the other hand, this is the core of the irony, if you don't act on it quickly, the value will go away. So it's sort of lots of data, but act quickly, and that actually creates a tremendous challenge.
I think that's what makes people nervous, is there's so much potential value sitting right in front of you,
That's
and
right.
you better grab it, but they're not quite sure how. Now, what I've seen, heard a lot of conversations the last 2 days about people saying, technology providers saying, don't think about the technology first. Think about what you're trying to do, what you're trying to get a grip on, what you're going to do with it, and what you expect at the end. And then we can start talking about how to do it.
That's absolutely always a good principle to follow. And in our domain around IoT analytics, I would add one more thing. We've all heard the phrase analysis paralysis, and that's a real phenomenon in the world. IoT makes it all the more potential to happen because of the volume. What's interesting to us is, in the end of the day, you have to take an action based on the analysis. And our platform's interesting because we operate on a principle of what we call an analytics value chain. We're getting the data, analyzing and predicting based on the data, and then acting on it is actually the key to where value happens. 90% of the value is the action. And our platform's interesting and unique because we do all the things required to get the data, analyze it, and base predictions on it, but we also have a way to trigger actions. And that's the real value, and that speaks to the business problem or requirement that you talked about a moment ago.
Well, it's interesting because the last few months, that conversation a lot of people had with me was it ended at predictive, and people were acting like, well, the predictive analytics, that's the end state. No, that's not the end state. I mean, it's the actionable, but how do you keep people from, or make sure they take care of the steps before they get to actionable?
Well, that's where a platform helps because in effect it at some level enforces a process. Because you bring in a major software platform, it has a set of tools that you can step through the process. Sometimes these things are best understood by analogy. One of the features is after predictive in this analytics value chain is prescriptive analytics, and then what we call intelligent actions. So let's use a medical metaphor. When your doctor prescribes the drug, it doesn't do any good until the patient takes it. And that's probably the simplest way to say it. If the doctor predicts you're going to get sick, but then prescribes the solution, and then you don't take the pill, things aren't good. So we like to sort of, by analogy say, if you can predict, for example, in a utility or a manufacturing environment where a machine or something needs to be triggered, and you don't prescribe the action and take it, that incredible analysis is not useful. And that's really the key, is to take the action.
How do you engage with your customers? Like right from the very, very beginning, or do they come to you kind of in the middle of the stream sometimes? And how do you make sure they're taking the medicine or eating the candy? We could put it, making sure you're drinking the water, whatever it is. How do you make sure that does happen?
Sure. Well, that's a very good question, and the real answer there is that people come to us in a variety of cases. Sometimes they will have done some predictive work. Sometimes they may be using different kinds of databases already and blending data of structured and unstructured. So there's no real single answer to your question. We have a framework and an approach and a very good SE team that goes in and consults with the customer. And so there's sort of probably a dozen common paths to answering how that works. Typically, we often come in, as you said, in the middle. They will have done some work. We'll perhaps add a little bit of predictive. We may even do some actions, and then it typically evolves from there. So it's quite a myriad of scenarios.
So my real question, which I can probably ask, I can probably say these words, you can't. I would urge companies, if you've already screwed it up, don't worry. No matter what state you're in, you can come to Vitria. You're seeing people in many states, and how should they contact you? What's the best way for them to engage with your company?
Oh, sure. Well, there's any number of ways. They can just go to our website, and that's very, very simple. You can call us with the number there, or send us a contact form. We engage with people in any way, really.
And 2 years from now, they're going to have like twice as much data.
Very good point. And one of the things there's a very important implication in what you just said. One of the things we encourage people to do is to get started. It's a long process. What I just described as analytics value chain is not a short journey. Many people, I would say the large majority, are in the first half of that curve, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so in that context, we encourage people, whether it's us or anyone, frankly, to get started on that journey quickly and try to understand the path. Because you're not going to benefit by delay, and you're not going to benefit by having experimentation without a process or a method. The important thing about our platform is that we have a methodology and an intellectual process. It's not just any one feature. That's the crucial thing.
It's absolutely a very serious thing, and I'll throw in a sports analogy, whether you like it or not, which is, you throw the ball to where the person's going to be, not where he is right now, and it sounds like that's what you guys are all about. Vitria, Mike Houston's joined us for a few minutes. Go to vitria.com to find out more. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
To our audience, thank you so much for watching. For Syscon TV, this is Roger Struckhoff.